The Historic Blackwell Parkland is a Georgian pleasure park in County Durham. It was designed just over 200 years ago, based on a Capability Brown style landscape. The original grounds date back even earlier, to the late 17th century. This parkland is valued and cherished. Cherished for its beauty and tranquility. Valued for its biodiversity and rich history. However, over the past 10 years, the parkland has been under threat of development. Development for additional housing within the Borough of Darlington. Central to the parkland is the Blackwell Grange, an early 18th century country house. The Grange is of national importance and a listed Grade 2 building. This video is a record of how the people of the Parish of Blackwell and the wider community have navigated a 6-year-long process in order to revise, shape and develop an outcome for the parkland within the wider local plan. The local plan was adopted at full council with its policies and policies maps in February 2022.
In June 2018, residents of the borough were introduced to the concept of a local plan and the required consultation process. The public consultation journey for the future of this historic parkland began 3 years earlier in 2015 and ended in 2022. There were many revisions and amendments along the way. In June 2015, council officers presented the much-awaited proposals concerning the future of the historic parkland and possible housing development at Blackwell Grange. Unfortunately, these contradicted proposals in the Statement of Significance 2012 presented by the elected member at an earlier community meeting. They now included building within the original 19th century Georgian Pleasure Parkland. The new plan proposed 4 areas of development, which would result in the loss of many of the listed heritage assets, including an ancient field and hedgerow and the Grange's former orchard of 1790.
The consultation period closed at the end of August 2015. There was a huge response in opposition to these plans. Many respondents asked what happened to the earlier planning presentation. In the Statement of Significance of 2012, this parkland area was classed as being too sensitive for development, merited as designatable and recommended for restoration and public benefit.
Following the resolution at the Cabinet meeting of 5th of April 2016, the Council withdrew the earlier Making and Growing Places development plan. In June 2018, the map had changed in the new draft local plan, incorporating and absorbing the 4 original housing areas into one area of proposed housing, to be known as Site 009.
As with the previous proposal, Site 009 was a disturbing intrusion within the parkland and a threat to its heritage assets. The public consultation was held from June to August, including very informative roadshows with officers present to help the public with any questions. Again, there was huge opposition on the local authority portal and planning forms, with many highlighting the historic and ecological value of the parkland. During this time, there were public demonstrations, articles in the press, and a low mood in the parish. The earlier loss to developers and the devastation of the adjacent meadows in 2018, now called Site 010, highlighted what could happen to the parkland.
In June 2019, following a briefing of the new ruling group, confidential documents were leaked showing positive news that Site 009 had been removed and replaced by Site 403. This revision dramatically reduced the potential loss of heritage assets. Some of the saved assets were the orchard of 1790, field and ancient hedgerow boundary, and part of the Haha, which runs along the wooded area.
Discussions continued from July 2019 and formal representations were made in February 2020 when these recommended changes, known as the 3 Rs, revised, removed, replaced, were approved at Cabinet and then at full council.
It was good news, demonstrating the council fulfilling its mission statement. It enabled residents to help shape the future of the borough.
Further formal consultations ran from August to September. The council submitted its local plan to the Secretary of State for public examination in December 2020.
The revised policies map was examined at the May 2021 hearings with the Secretary of State's Inspector William Fieldhouse. It showed a local wildlife site and a partial green wedge. The former Site 009, removed by Council in February 2020, was not part of the local plan submission to the Secretary of State. In the June hearings, the policies map changed to include a welcome addition of the red urban parkland boundary. The green wedge, however, only partially protected the parkland for potential development. It did not fully extend to the boundary of Grangeside to the west and Blackwell Lane to the north, or around the Blackwell Grange listed building. Further action points included the loss of green wedge from the Bland's Corner Triangle to accommodate potential development, a dismay to many, but the full extension of the green wedge to fill the entire urban parkland boundary. The parkland boundary now marks that of the original 1820 parkland and excludes Site 403. This decision was based on the Heritage Impact Assessment carried out in December 2020. The final policies map for the Historic Parkland has 3 important protective designations: Urban Parkland Boundary, Local Wildlife Site, fully as a green wedge. This policies map was finally adopted within the local plan at Cabinet and full council in February 2022. The red urban parkland boundary runs around the site of the original historic parkland. The Historic Blackwell Parkland is recorded on the local authority policies map, along with the 10 other urban and rural parklands. The policy describes a level of protection which will retain and improve their special landscape, heritage and ecological qualities. The whole parkland is now within the extended green wedge of Blackwell Skirm Park. This is one of 3 important green wedges described in Darlington's green infrastructure, which extend to the proposed development limit of the main urban area. Paragraph 9.3.4 outlines that this is to ensure that these areas are protected and appropriately enhanced. In other words, this far for development but no further. Finally, sitting within the urban parkland and green wedge is a designated local wildlife site. This is described in the local plan by policy EMV7, Biodiversity and Geodiversity. Local wildlife sites are identified and selected for their local nature conservation value. They protect threatened species and habitats, acting as buffers, stepping stones and corridors. The Council will ensure that sites and features of biodiversity and geodiversity importance are given full and appropriate recognition and protection.
These designations were achieved through the democratic process of community representation and were adopted by the Council as part of their local plan. The proposal for Site 403, the Bland's Corner Triangle, remains. Dismay continues over its loss of biodiversity and the celebrated southern entrance to the town. The final consultation of October 2021 highlighted this opposition. However, huge community support in the final consultation for the 3 designations of Urban Parkland, Green Wedge and Wildlife Site for the Georgian Pleasure Park remains equally strong. The future of the parkland lies in a restoration and the inspector's final report.
The key to this is twofold. First, through council documents within the local plan. These were referred to during the consultation and hearings and led to the final report by Inspector William Fieldhouse. Appendix B of the local plan, the Statement of Common Ground between Historic England and the Council, the Heritage Impact Assessment, the Statement of Significance, and of course the detail of the Inspector's final report.
Partnership is the second key. Using the local plan documents with an all-party involvement of elected members, interest groups and the community would lead to sound planning. This would also be a sure way to achieve the necessary monitoring, maintenance and enhancement of the levels of protection designated through the local plan. It will be in harmony with the Inspector's words in his final report, safeguarding the character, appearance and ecology of the area and providing clear long-term protection which reflects its heritage and ecological value.
In 1854, local historian W.H. Longstaff had this to say about the parkland. Conserving this parkland's history, its biodiversity and character gives the community in this decade a great opportunity to pass on to future generations the privilege of this unique ecological plantation and historic inheritance.
The outcome for the parkland within the local plan has come through the community. This video and its flipbook companion is for use by the community to prevent any drifting backwards in relation to the milestones, revisions and changes achieved along the journey for this historic parkland, and to monitor, protect and enhance what has been achieved. The Heritage Parkland Network has produced a detailed paper called the 12 Anchor Points, highlighting the most relevant local plan documents which relate to the historic parkland and its restoration. This is available in PDF format. Using the parkland for leisure, relaxation, exercise, or simply time out is a great way of supporting its long-term protection. Also by sharing this video and the PDF document with family, friends, interest groups, and continuing to speak with your local councillors and others in authority, you will be adding your voice to the preservation of one of Darlington's rich, biodiverse and unique heritage assets. Stay connected by joining us on Facebook, signing up to our mailing list, or using the Map Run 6 app.